Hello, and welcome back to HunterTuned. I'm actually out at the shop today, assessing the damage on the Mustang. So, figured I'd make a quick video for you guys. Just a cell phone video. I forgot to bring my camera out here today. But anyways, we did take the transmission out of the Mustang. Took us about 5 minutes because it came apart. I literally just had to take the tranny crossmember off, the transmission lines, and the shifter. And it literally just fell right out. So I'm gonna show you the trans quick and show you how scary this thing looks, because yeah.
That's pretty wicked.
It's pretty wicked. So don't mind the mess in the back of my truck right now. But Christian's gonna have his flashlight out here. You wanna try and open the tailgate here quick? Ugh, I'm doing this on camera one-handed. There we go. Okay, pull back. All right. So here is the transmission. So the front of it here, there's nothing left. The bell housing is gone. The bell housing is actually right here. So this is what the bell housing looks like. She's straight dicked. This was an HD bell housing too, so I don't think I can flip the camera while I'm in mid video.
No,
yeah, it sucks.
Stop it and then,
Yeah, so anyways, yeah, look at that. Wah! Wow. HD case just gone. My homemade tranny crossmember actually held up pretty good, but I think I'm actually going to get an aftermarket one because this one did get a little bent up. It's not too bad, but the tail housing is still attached. So there's my, there we go. The tail housing is still attached to the crossmember. That thing snapped off like a twig on a tree. Look at that crossmember though. That is some homemade engineering right there. I made this thing back in the day, and it's been holding up really good. But I think part of the problem maybe was the drive shaft. Do we have the yoke anywhere?
No.
Or did we put that somewhere?
I don't know.
I'm gonna try to show you guys the yoke real quick off of the transmission, because the yoke, I don't know if a U-joint broke or if the yoke was just bad, because the yoke was like a temporary thing. I should have replaced it sooner. It was a little beat up because that yoke was on my old drive shaft, and it didn't fit in the tail housing properly. Like it fit, but it wasn't perfect, you know. So I think maybe that had something to do with it. It vibrated around, and then the yoke busted off, causing the tail housing to break, which caused the transmission to lose the mount and caused the transmission to twist inside the tunnel. And that's what it did. So the transmission just twisted inside of there, broke the bell housing. Hopefully the guts are okay on the transmission, but this is what the back of it looks like. This is the back of the transmission. It is all broken off as well. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I just got a hold of my transmission buddy, and he's got an extra one. He's got an extra 400. So I'm gonna go over there and pick that up from him, and then talk to my transmission builder. And he said that he's going to swap the guts from this one into that one, and hopefully we can get this thing back up and going for like less than 300 bucks. So that's the goal. I don't want to go power glide yet because I don't think this was a transmission failure. I think it was either a drive shaft failure, a yoke failure, or maybe the tranny crossmember was part of it too, because my transmission crossmember, I built this thing a couple years ago, like I was saying, guys, and I solid mounted the bushings. It still had a rubber bushing up top. So like up here on the the mount itself is like an energy suspension poly bushing. So that was, it still had rubber there, or like urethane, but where it bolted into the frame, I actually solid mounted, which I feel like there should be some bushings here. So I think I'm gonna try to find an aftermarket crossmember that will work, or something that I can work off of and modify, because this stock one is just junk. It's junk. I don't want to use it again. So anywho, there's the carnage. The transmission's just gone. The converter is okay. I'm thinking the converter was still in the input shaft. None of the splines are messed up on there, and the converter's still bolted to the flywheel right now. The flywheel did get a little, like it flexed a little bit and started digging into the oil pan a small bit. Nothing crazy, nothing too bad, but I might have to assess that later. But I think just having it break and the shock force might have just flexed the flywheel a little while it was running, and that's what did that. The converter bolts are also a little loose, Probably because the bolts that PTC supplies, they're not a flanged head. They're just like a normal bolt and nut. They're not flanged at all. And the old setup, I had flanged bolts and nuts from the hardware store, like grade 5. These were grade 8 bolts, but they weren't flanged head bolts. And you probably got to use Loctite on those. But if you use flanged bolts and nuts, I never have problems with shit loosening up, ever. And like I said, I ran the old setup with the frickin' hardware store flanged nuts and bolts, and the converter bolts never came loose. And these ones are loose. So I don't know if it's from, the shock force of everything breaking that they loosened up, but I kind of highly doubt that. Another thing that we are working on out at the shop right now is my WRX. So if you guys have been following the channel for a while, this is my 2011 Subaru WRX. And we are currently putting a clutch in this thing. So we have the exhaust off and the frickin' axles all out, the drive shafts. Oh, another thing about the Mustang quick before we talk about the Subaru is I also picked up this CSI bell housing transmission cover. It is SFI certified. It's like bulletproof Kevlar. And I'm gonna be putting that onto the new transmission when we put it all together just to stay safe. Because I'm lucky I didn't get hurt on this last time with the transmission twisting inside the tunnel. This CSI shield will actually help if anything does break, or the converter fucking comes apart, or the anything else in the transmission starts to explode. That shield will keep me separated from any of the carnage if anything happens again. So anyways, back to the Subaru here. We are installing a clutch on this car because it has been slipping for quite some time. And unfortunately, we started working on this thing and we got the transmission out. If you guys can see down here, we have the transmission out. This is a 5-speed WRX tranny. And that thing was definitely pretty stubborn to come off. We had to like chisel the whole way around the bell housing because it was just like stuck on there. The dowel pins were like corroded to shit. So like it took a while for me and Christian to get this transmission out. And then we were gonna replace the clutch because I bought a clutch for it. And yeah, I bought it at Christmas time. And 6 months later, I'm finally going to put it in. And it's like a cheap eBay one. We were just gonna try it out and see if it worked. But it's actually for the 6-speed or like different style Subaru clutch. Yeah, there's a push style and a pull style. There's like a push throwout bearing and a pull style throwout bearing. And how you know is the transmission when you go to take it off. There's on the style clutch that I bought, it has a pin that goes through the clutch fork, and you have to remove that pin in order to get the transmission off. This transmission doesn't have that pin. You don't have to remove anything. It's just like a Honda clutch fork kind of style, where it's just part of the inside of the tranny bell housing there, and then the throwout bearing goes onto it, and then it pushes the clutch normally like Hondas. But anyways, I got the wrong style clutch, and this thing's all tore apart now. Sitting here, and my girlfriend kind of uses it for work, so I'm kind of fucking screwed. I don't want to put it back together with the old clutch because the old clutch was an Exetti. I think it was just like a factory clutch. And it is toast. Like it is pretty wore out. Anything over like quarter throttle and it was slipping. So definitely needs to be replaced. We want to put a clutch in this car like soon, but I don't know where the hell I'm gonna get one for like a decent price. If you guys know of any, I know there's a couple local guys around here that have stock replacement clutches for this 2011 Subaru, but I don't know if I want to put another stock clutch in it because this car is on E85 with like 850cc injectors, Cobb downpipe, Cobb intake, Cobb access port, tuned. Clark Turner tuned it, and like it makes some good power. It makes like 350 horsepower, probably 3 to 350, I would assume. And I'm just trying to find a clutch that's like not extremely expensive, which they all are. It sucks. But if anybody out there has a clutch for this thing, I would greatly appreciate that too, because we are on the hunt, we are on the lookout. But we did assess the damage on the Mustang, and it doesn't look good. So we're gonna talk to the transmission guy. I'm gonna drop it off tomorrow, and we'll probably update you guys in the next video and let you know what he says and if everything is good inside, if we can reuse this stuff, if we can get another one going, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, still waiting on my rods for my Honda. That's been waiting for a few months now. Machinist guy's been pretty busy, so anyways, but yeah, Mustang's back in the shop now, fucking Subarus here. Both of them torn apart with transmissions out of them, broken, waiting on parts. So got to get these things done before we can move on to anything else. Kind of sucks, but yeah, the purple coupe is still sitting there. So we're gonna get that thing done here soon as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night and a better tomorrow, and we will see you later.